Hello, my name is Dick Noel, and I have been studying various subjects related to the afterlife. I have spent the last few years researching what are known as near-death experiences and shared-death experiences, as well as after-death communications. This extensive research has convinced me of many important beliefs, such as the belief in the existence of a loving God, the belief in a purpose of everyone's life on earth, the critical importance of free will, and the existence of a peaceful, joyful afterlife for all of us if we only embrace a belief in a loving, forgiving God. I have been inspired over the past several years to upload to YouTube several videos on my belief in a peaceful afterlife. One of the key areas of my research involved the subject of reincarnation. I have always hoped to better understand and appreciate God's role as a grantor of reincarnations. What do the many cases of reincarnation tell us about the importance of our time on earth, especially the importance of unconditional love for God and for one another? Because I myself have never had a near-death experience or a shared-death experience, I have always looked for evidence of a divine presence in others here on earth. Not so much for me who is a firm believer in God and His grace and forgiveness, but for many who need to see more concrete, understandable evidence of the presence of God's work here on earth. I feel that many cases of reincarnation provide that important additional evidence of God's love and grace and divine kindness. He wants us to see how many deserving individuals who need to come back to earth to complete a divine purpose in their lives do get that opportunity. Maybe it is to give them the opportunity to help a loved one who is struggling. Or maybe it is to show the many skeptics that God is very real and willing to send an important individual back to help the rest of us better understand His divine love and caring. The important testimonies of individuals who very specifically show clear evidence of their past lives is what is needed to convince the many skeptics of God's love for all of us. These testimonies show us that we don't know everything about God's role for us while living on His created earth, that we have to trust in the way He watches over us, and that some of us may have more than one existence on this earth before our souls are ready to enter His heavenly kingdom. We just have to believe there are many ways we can find our path to His ultimate blessed heaven. Maybe it is a direct path, or maybe some of us need to experience life on earth again in a new physical body. The most important reincarnations in terms of evidence of God's love are the testimonies of many very young, innocent children. The strongest cases, the ones with the most verified details, tend to share certain characteristics. In these cases, the young children begin speaking about their experiences between ages 2 and 5, and they display emotions appropriate to the experiences they describe, often becoming distressed when discussing tragic events. Many, usually at age 7 to 8 years old, fade these memories. These memories fade. Many of the strong cases of reincarnation can be found in the files of the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia, where experts in the field like Dr. Ian Stevenson and Dr. Jim Tucker have studied over 2,500 cases of reincarnation. They have shown that the patterns of these cases are remarkably similar across cultures, religions, and continents. Here are just a few of the cases studied by Dr. Jim Tucker and/or Ian Stevenson that appeared to be clear evidence of young children having a past life. I believe these examples teach us again that souls do survive physical death, and in cases like these, God sends souls back via rebirth in a new physical body to complete an additional purpose before they permanently enter God's heavenly kingdom. It is important to note that these stories have been verified by historians, investigated by scientists, and documented in peer-reviewed research. The evidence is strong and the documentation is thorough. The first case I want to mention is the Daniel David case. This is the story of a 3-year-old boy named Daniel who described to his mother Sarah how he remembered formerly being a priest and having died in a severe motorcycle accident. Daniel's mother, Sarah, was stunned as Daniel's description of the accident involving a runaway truck and a motorcycle was exactly the same as a local fatal accident that happened in 1972, 3 years before Daniel was born. And it happened to one of Sarah's former best friends, a priest named Father David. The eventual conclusion reached by Sarah and even her initially skeptic husband Tom, after extensive consultation and study by Dr. Alan Ross, a well-known researcher in the field of reincarnation, was that David was in fact the reincarnation of Father David. This Daniel David case was believed to be the first scientifically documented American case of reincarnation. The second case I want to mention is the James Linenger case. James Linenger was just 2 years old when he had vivid nightmares about a plane crash. As he grew a bit older, he shared detailed information about a World War II aircraft and a pilot named James Houston Jr. Facts a toddler shouldn't know. James would draw pictures of plane crashes and sign his artwork James 3. His parents, skeptical at first, were shocked to learn that James Houston Jr. was indeed a pilot who died in battle in World War II. Young James Linenger knew intimate details about the Corsair plane James Houston flew, and he even recognized James Houston's former comrades and photographs he was shown. He also correctly identified the ship James Houston Jr. took off from, the USS Nader Bade, and he knew that Houston was shot down at Iwo Jima. These details were later confirmed through military records. Experts wondered, how could a child possess such specific knowledge about a person who died decades before he was born? All this evidence pointed to James Linenger being the reincarnation of James Houston Jr. The third case I want to mention is the Barbro Carlin Anne Frank case. Barbro Carlin, a 10-year-old Swedish girl, told her parents that she had specific memories of formerly living as the well-known Anne Frank, one of the most often written about victims of the Holocaust. Barbro's parents knew nothing about the Holocaust and had no idea how Barbro could have gotten specific knowledge of Anne Frank's life. Barbro described specific details about the house the Franks were hiding in, including details of a secret annex that were never included in any known written source. Barbro also had nightmares about the German prison she was sent to and spent her final days. She said, quote, "I remember the cold, the hunger, and the illness." Barbro also told a therapist, "I knew I was going to die, but I still had hope that someone somewhere would read my diary." Barbro's case was studied at great length by Dr. Evan Stevenson, and he considered it one of the most intriguing past life cases ever documented. Now, in all these young children cases and many others, very specific, verifiable details were provided, and the language used by the young boys or girls was that spoken at the time of their experiences. Also, in most of these cases, the young boys or girls lose most of what they remembered from past lives when they reach age 7 or 8. Many of these cases are again well documented by the well-known researchers at the University of Virginia's department devoted to the study of paranormal experiences. These young children cases are especially important in that they provide details that could not be learned from reading ancient texts or watching TV shows, etc. They do, I firmly believe, give us important, credible evidence of a special reincarnation path to an eventual peaceful, joyful afterlife. I do believe, and with the chaos going on in this world, with the endless fighting and killing and ego-driven actions by so many unwise and careless leaders, we need the messages of hope represented by the testimonies of these many innocent young children. We all need to find our way to unconditional love for God and for one another. As shown by the testimonies of very young, innocent children, it may take more than one existence on this earth to find the correct path to God's heavenly kingdom. So we should all do our best with a kind, loving attitude toward one another and an ongoing effort to help the less fortunate and the disabled and the starving. We most likely will not see in our current lifetime as many of the major problems on this earth solved as we would like, but we have to try our best to make progress. I firmly believe if God sees critical divine-like movements in the free will choices of sincere individuals in their current life experience, he may, at clinical death, welcome their souls directly into his heavenly kingdom. However, if God feels some individuals need and or deserve more time to evolve more into beings with greater ability to unconditionally love God and one another, he may send their souls back for further spiritual growth in a new physical body. These souls may also be sent back because God feels they need to have the opportunity to complete a special purpose, but did not have the time because of an unexpected early tragic death, especially when such an early tragic death was due to poor free will decisions of someone else. I firmly believe that all reincarnated, reborn souls in their new physical bodies will, I am sure, take advantage of new opportunities to evolve into even more complete divine-inspired beings serving their loving, peaceful God. So thank you for taking the time to watch my video on the very intriguing subject of reincarnation.